You're watching 8 News Now. Good day.
Welcome back. We are sitting down live with the sheriff as the department marks really a solemn day.
2 years ago today, 2 officers gunned down on their lunch break at a CC's Pizza. Officers Alan Beck, Igor Soldo ambushed by an armed couple who then killed another man before dying in a shootout with police. Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo joining us this morning at 9 a.m. We really have a celebration of life going on for these men.
Yeah, over at Northeast Area Command, they're having a celebration per se. You know, the tragic thing is people tend to forget over time, and I think it's important to help people remember those tragic events, and in particular the families. You know, so they feel like they still have people that care about them, and today will be a celebration of that, barbecue party type thing, more of a celebration than a solemn event. So.
Yeah. We understand some kids are getting involved with an art contest, all to honor the men as well. And of course, this was a hate crime, deemed a hate crime. And we've learned some new reports out by the FBI say there has been a drop in hate crime here in this area attributed to good policing.
Well, I think more importantly, it's been brought to the forefront. You know, before it wasn't investigated as a per se hate crime, it was just a part of another type of crime that may or may not have been committed. And now there's enhancers associated with the sentencing with hate crime. So when you bring it to the forefront and you make it an issue, we actually do a very good job at addressing the issues. So I'm glad it's going that direction. Usually it's bad news and it's going the opposite direction. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And a day to honor those 2 men.
Yeah.
So,
our viewer questions coming in. The first is we are seeing an increase in violent crimes in the Valley. This morning, another convenience store was hit. This after a string of robberies over the weekend. What is Metro doing to try and reduce these crimes?
well, let's just take an overall picture, not just in particular convenience store robberies. Yes, those are tragic in themselves, and we are doing everything within our power to investigate them and do extensive follow through. But in response to the increase in violent crime, you know, more in particular at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, we had to do something with the resources we had available. It's not like all of a sudden we can hire 100 officers and then throw it at the problem. So we have to look internally and then figure the best way to go approach it. And the best way is prevention versus reaction. And so we designed a neighborhood enforcement team. And that was a combination of 20 officers that we put together with supervisors, and they do proactive enforcement to address issues based on intelligence and data. We're just not going out harassing people. We're just we're putting those officers in the areas where our largest concerns based on intelligence, and they've been very successful since the implementation. If you look at a 28-day picture versus the previous one, they've had a significant decrease in violent crime in those particular areas. So it's working, in which bears the witness that cops make a difference. And you've heard me publicly say, more importantly, the words not de-policing, but increase in policing.
Yeah.
There's a dire need for us to hire more officers.
Yeah,
the more the better.
That. Yeah, repeatedly. Let's talk the T-Mobile Arena. Of course, it has many events, right? This requires assistance from Metro. What is being done to make sure the manpower not taken away from the rest of the Valley, and what you've been talking about?
Well, the T-Mobile in any event, you know, we have a lot. We got EDC coming up. So any of those events are supplemented by overtime officers. In other words, the private vendor pays for those officers to be present at their events. So it's not taken from our traditional enforcement and our traditional job, our daily duties as a police department. They're brought in officers that are off on their time off or their regular days off, and they work overtime to address those events. And the NRS describes how much a private entity is supposed to provide, and I believe it's 1 officer per 500 customers.
Okay.
So that's the formula we use when we support those type of events.
So if people are concerned, oh, there's a big concert or blah, 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 it's not taking away from our officers on the streets?
No, the only time it does is if there was a critical incident to occur and it requires additional enforcement in the immediate versus, you know, the long term prior to an event or during the event. Okay. But if there's a critical incident that would require additional manpower or officers, we can't very well call them up and say, hey, it's time to come in. They would respond from the existing officers that are working.
All right.
So.
And Sheriff, unfortunately, we got to rush through this one. Discussion about the Raiders coming here. What are your concerns about the possibility? Have about 30 seconds.
Well, I am the sheriff, so I guess my concern would be public safety.
Yes.
You know, anytime you have a huge event like that, which is great for the economy and in the community, but public safety has to be the discussion also. Not just how to pay for it and build it and bring people here. It's how to protect it and provide that blanket of security. So that's got to be in the discussion and the formula and the costs associated with providing that public safety.
Thank you again for being here, Sheriff.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. To submit your question for the sheriff, just go on our website, lasvegasnow.com, and look for the